After an afternoon recess, Prosecutor Takesha Fitzgerald started her direct examination of Knox County Medical Examiner Dr. Darinka Mileusnic-Polchan on the manner and cause of Channon Christian's death. And what we saw there was, of course, evidence of a very prolonged attack. Chris would have been dead within a couple of hours. Shannon's injuries, according to the doctor, occurred with a good measure of time between them. She indicated that Channon had suffered blows to the head at some point. She had been grabbed. Her arms had been grabbed by someone forcefully enough to cause bruising. She was forced to perform oral sex with such force that it tore her upper lip. She also suffered carpet burns to the back, bruising to the shoulders. She was raped vaginally, anally, and then at some point was repeatedly kicked in the vaginal area.
Well, in this particular case, histologically, I could say that one injury is older than the other. For example, the frenulum happened before the last insult in the anogenital region, which was that area of severe beating. And the cut on the hand didn't show any bowel reaction, so that happened around the time of that, or which means that what we call peri-mortem, around the time she died.
Prosecutor Fitzgerald again presented some hypotheticals.
Dr. Mileusnic, again, I would ask, based upon your training, your experience, your expertise, I would like to ask you a series of hypothetical questions. If expert from TBI has testified, that this area with the black magic marker is semen, sperm, on the lower left leg of the pants. Would that be consistent with Miss Christian in a seated position with sperm in her mouth, leaning forward and spitting the sperm out?
Yes, it could be consistent.
What effect could bleach have on sperm?
Well, the bleach would be destructive.
How so?
Because of the chemical properties and the influence on the bonds in the DNA.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. And again, Dr. Mileusnic, if Jennifer Millsaps with TBI has testified that the inside of the camisole, underneath the breast portion, in between the breast, and this spot on the sweater right in here, tested positive for Latavus Cobbin's DNA. And this spot here on the inner left thigh tested positive for Latavus Cobbin's DNA. Would that be consistent with Miss Christian in a seated position with sperm in her mouth, spitting it out, it getting into the inside of the bra, inside the camisole, settling in the bra portion of the camisole, and getting on the front of her sweater and the inner left thigh?
It's consistent. It could be one of the ways, yes.
And then again on the back of the Big Star jeans, there is some DNA that is consistent with Miss Christian's DNA. Would that be consistent with a cut hand that is bleeding, touching the back of her pants in that area and leaving blood?
It could be.
If her hands were tied, would that also be consistent?
Sure.
And also, inside in the interior of the jeans, Ms. Millsaps found DNA that is consistent with Mr. Davidson in the crotch area. Would that be consistent again with Mr. Davidson's sperm being inside Ms. Christian in her vaginal area or her anal area, and then putting the pants back on after Mr. Davidson deposited semen in her vagina and her anus?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's put these back in order.
The photos from the autopsy were played out on a large movie-sized screen, almost play-by-play. Every, as each layer of binding is removed and as each trash bag is removed, there's a new photo and close-up shots, and they're very graphic, and they were so graphic, in fact, that a new prosecutor who's assisting in this case grew faint early on into the autopsy presentation of Channon Christian's death.
And at 23:16.
Down.
We have a doctor in that.
And so we had to take a break in order to help her to recover. She did not return to the courtroom, however.
Again, with Ms. Christian, did you collect urine, blood, and vitreous samples?
Yes.
And did you send those off to Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
Yes.
What was the test results?
The only finding was a trace amount of alcohol, 0.01.
Was she tested for barbiturates,
Yes.
benzodiazepine,
Yes.
cannabinoid,
Yes, that's marijuana, cannabinoids, yes.
cocaine,
Yes.
opiates,
Yes.
and again, the results, no basic drugs?
That was all negative, yes.
Tomorrow, the defense will start cross-examination of the medical examiner, and clearly they've got a big hurdle to jump with her testimony.